Welcome back to Autism Live. On Thursdays, we like to have a mindfulness moment because we know that this is a stressful road with autism, right? Whether you're the parent, the teacher, the practitioner, or the individual who's on the autism spectrum, you're going to run into some stress in life anyway, right? But with autism, sometimes there's an extra added layer of stress. And we're learning that for all of us, mindfulness is a way that we can reduce that stress. So we like to take just a couple of minutes on Thursdays to give you a hint or a tip or something that either we know works or there have been studies on. So today I want to talk to you about the power of 5. That we're all the time trying to teach ourselves and our kiddos what's appropriate to react to emotionally in a given moment. Because if we don't have a measurement of saying, okay, my car just got hit by a truck. It's not good, right? But it's not the worst thing in the world that could happen. Then we will react to everything as if it's the worst thing that happens, or we'll react to everything as if it's no big deal, right? And we need to gauge how big of a deal is this basically for all of us? And that's the way we get to self-regulation so that we don't constantly freak out about every little thing that there is. So a lot of times we'll make a visual thing for small kiddos that shows maybe a thermometer or a sliding scale of something to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, doctors do this all the time with patients. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's your pain? And that you need to be honest about it, but then we need to give context to it to our kiddos who are on the autism spectrum and to ourselves. So the power of 5 comes in with that we can think to ourselves if we have enough life experience. So this is for our older kids. This isn't something that you would do with a 5-year-old per se. But maybe with a 15-year-old, you can say to them, okay, you're upset about this, and I understand that you're upset about this, because we always want to leave room for the fact that feelings are real and we get to experience them, right? But are you going to be upset about this in 5 minutes? And often the response is, yes, I fully plan to. I think I'm going to be upset about this in 5 minutes. You go, okay, reasonable. Do you think you're going to be upset about this in 5 hours? And, they might say, yes, no, I'm 100% sure I'm going to be upset about this in 5 hours. Do you think you're going to be upset about this in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years? And we kind of go through, and the first time you're going through this, and while you're having the emotion, your answer is probably going to be yes on all of them, right? And that's okay, and we don't need to argue that. But especially when we're doing this with a kiddo, we want to check back. And so 5 minutes later, are you still upset about it? 5 hours later, so how do you feel about that now? And reference it for them. Because the truth of the matter is that the things that we get upset about, especially if they're not the big deals in life, we're not upset about it 5 minutes later, 5 hours later, certainly not 5 weeks ago or 5 months or 5 years. Often I will find myself saying to somebody, I'll do this with myself and go, okay, wait a second. Is this something I'm going to be upset about in 5 days? And I think, yes, I'm going to be upset about it. And 5 days later, I'm like, what was it I was upset about? I don't even remember what it was. Like, I was so convinced that I was going to be upset about it. And what it does is it gives you a context so that further down the road, sometimes when you're in the moment and you're upset about something and you say, I feel like I'm going to be upset about it in 5 minutes. I feel like I'm going to be upset about it in 5 hours, but I know from past experience that this kind of a thing, I'm not upset about it in 5 hours. And it kind of unplugs the gas from it so that usually you're not even upset about it in 5 minutes. In the moment, any emotion can feel overwhelming and like it's going to feel this way forever. And I've only ever felt this way, right? I think we've all experienced that. So that's why we give it that broader context. Am I going to be upset about this in 5 minutes? Am I going to be upset about this in 5 hours? Am I going to be upset about this in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years? And, sometimes you can do it in shorter because you don't need all of them because you go, I'm not going to be upset about it in 5 weeks. I know I'm not. Given it a context, is this the worst thing that could happen? I will tell you that my son is so much better at this than I am because he learned it earlier. If we start with our little kiddos, things will happen. We were at Disneyland once And one of his neurotypical friends was there, and the mom was having to explain that the railroad ride was being worked on, and so we were not going to get to ride it. And, you would have thought that the world had come to an end. And my son, who was 7, on the autism spectrum, nudged me and said, wow, he's acting like it's the end of the world. It's not. He's going to get to ride it again. It's disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. 7. So practice the rule of 5 for yourself and teach it to your kiddos, and then go back and reteach it and bring it up then once they have a context for it, and you'll see that it pulls the emotion out of stress. It makes you mindful about what's happening.